field with Tyler Lockett. Fantastic season in 2020. And Jen Mueller catching up with Tyler Lockett after practice.
Well, the 12s are known as some of the loudest fans in the NFL. Tyler, as great as it is to have fans at practice, how exciting will it be to have full stadiums during the season?
Oh, it's very exciting. Like I said before, just not being able to have fans out there when we were playing, it was way different. It felt like a scrimmage. It was like another type of practice. But when you have the fans, you have the energy, you have everything that you need to go out there and really play the best game that you possibly can.
They are really looking forward to this offense this year. What are your first impressions of Shane Waldron and how this is going to shape up?
Yeah, well, like I've been saying, it's complex. The more and more that we learn and understand it, I think when we're able to really fit in our game within the system, I think it'll really allow us to be successful.
Lastly, what do you expect from all of the veterans on this team? Because there's a lot of guys who have played together for a number of years.
Yeah, I would just say never stop learning. You can never, you can learn in almost anything. And even with a lot of the young guys we have, they're going to be able to come in real early to really be able to perform. And we got to be able to learn how to get them on track, but also learn how to be able to put them in the best situations possible.
All right, Tyler, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Great to have Seahawks team reporter Jen Mueller with us today. A nice conversation there with Tyler Lockett, 100 receptions last year. Him and DK Metcalf, one of the best wide receiver tandems in football, but he got one right here at Rams camp too, is Matthew Stafford throwing passes to Cooper Kupp. You'll see Robert Woods out here. How does Deshaun Jackson fill in with Van Jefferson coming back now into year 2? And
is this a question? Are you asking
I'm
me?
asking you, MJD. Give me the answer, man. What's this
Red, listen,
like
as
now?
the president of the Ramley organization and an active member, I'll tell you this. We invite all that talent here to the offense, right? Deshaun Jackson's ability to score the long touchdown. We saw that over the last couple of days, the passes over 40 yards, right? I think he leads the league in touchdowns over 40 or 60 yards. I got to get that stat here in a second for everyone. But I'll say this. Then you add all the young talent in there as well.
Well,
and so
when I talk about the next-gen stats here, it's all about those deep receptions where the Rams only had 7 last season, which was the lowest number in the NFL. That's going to be severely changed this year with both Matthew Stafford's ability to complete those deep passes and Deshaun Jackson, amongst others.
Yeah. I was talking to Les Snead yesterday about what Deshaun Jackson brings to this team and the speed and how he's actually very similar to Tutu Atwell, their first draft pick this year in the second round, but we haven't seen Tutu yet. He's been on that reserve COVID-19 list, but kind of great opportunity to use Deshaun Jackson's elite playmaking skill, but also have him kind of mentor a guy that plays in a similar fashion like Tutu.
Well, you want a Tutu stat? I'm cutting you off here. Oh,
please.
I got a Tutu stat for you from PFF. 10 receiving touchdowns on deep targets since 2019, 5th most in the Power 5. So you're absolutely right. This is going to be a good mentor situation.
Well, I think that's one of the things the Rams wanted to do over the last couple of years, just try to stretch the field vertically. They've done it well horizontally with play-action pass. They just haven't had that deep threat since Brandon Cooks left to go down the field. So you bring in 2 guys that can do that. Robert Woods had allowed his play last year trying to be the deep threat and still be a third down slot guy and all over the field. So they wanted to minimize a little bit what he's doing, add some guys that can stretch the field for him, and then they're playing lights out right now.
I got one more on Matthew Stafford for you. Okay, so he's one of just 4 quarterbacks with 5+ deep passing touchdowns and no interceptions in 2020. This is per next-gen stats, and he's in really elite company there.
That was a big round of applause because Tristan Jackson, first-year player out of Syracuse, just beat the defense deep there.
Tristan Jackson is in a 3 wide receiver competition to make this team. He's a guy last year that played lights out for him, but when they add new guys, then you got to keep competing.
Matthew Stafford, the comeback king the last 10 years, 29 come from behind victories in the fourth quarter, and the Rams will love that aspect of his game.
Yes, sir.
As well. All right, more to come as we continue getting back together on this Saturday. We're going to take you back to Spartanburg, South Carolina, and just see what an impact a healthy Christian McCaffrey is going to make for Matt Rule's team there in Carolina. We'll check that game with Patrick Claybon and Charles Davis. But Rams fans are ready.
How many people, Red?
Billions.
Billions. Unconfirmed.
Billions here.
Seems like it's right. I'm a numbers person.
Alvin Kamara, Christian McCaffrey, or maybe I got that backwards. You shouldn't mention those guys without mentioning me. He wants to be in that same conversation. He wants to be a complete back. That's something that he was talking about the other day, and he's got the ability to do it. I mean, coming out of college, I know that scouts really liked his ability to move in space, his fluidity, his route running. It just hasn't been asked of him just yet. It really hasn't been asked of Ravens running backs for a couple of years, really since Lamar Jackson took over. But they want to expand the offense. They want to show different things. And maybe a running back catching the football will be a bigger element of this offense. And you also have to be durable to be in that conversation as well. And J.K. Dobbins has missed only one game since the start of his college career. And it was because of COVID last year. So he is a durable guy. So he's going to be, this could be the breakout year for him. And look, he's replacing Mark Ingram in a lot of ways. And one of the ways is really the personality. They lost personality when Ingram left, but don't discount what Dobbins could do from that standpoint. He really is an entertaining guy. In fact, there's a reporter for the Ravens Spanish radio. Her name is Jimena Lugo Latore, and she'll often ask questions on these Zooms. Hopefully in person this year. He'll give her a hola, right? He kind of jokes around a little bit. But he said to her this offseason, he said, I want to learn Spanish. Can you teach me Spanish? And I asked, how's he doing? And a Ravens official said he's mildly conversational right now. Or to put it in a way that J.K. Dobbins would understand, levemente conversacional. Now, I know one of the two of you speak Spanish back there.
Oh, you know
so
I'm
Sean
gonna
O'Hara.
I'm going to
How did I
J.K.
do?
Dobbins at some point. Yeah.
You go for it, MJ, but no, he may answer a question in Spanish.
Así. Tú no es muy bueno cuando tú hablas.
I am very impressed, Sean. That was pretty good. That was pretty dang good.
I'll say this. J.K. Dobbins es muy fuerte.
Muy fuerte.
And he gets vertical. Muy rápido.
We'll continue las clases en español in a little bit. Thanks, Mike G. For now, we got to head over to Glendale, Arizona, where Kurt Warner caught up with Kyler Murray.
So I'm here with the figurative and the literal QB number 1 here in Arizona. And Kyler, just want to start with you first and foremost. Been around the block a couple times, entering year 3. Tell me the one area where you have grown the most from coming into the league to where you're at now.
I'd say for me, I say pre and post snap for me, especially. I think year 1, you're getting used to the defense. It's your rookie year. Game's moving fast, and things are confusing you. But that year 2, man, it slowed down for me starting to fall camp. I could tell immediately, and towards the end of my rookie season, that I was getting more comfortable. And then, now going into year 3, there's not much I haven't seen. Yeah. I know defenses like to throw a lot at me, but play me differently. But I'm prepared and I'm ready for it.
Is that something you can work on in the offseason? I've always felt that's the hardest thing about football is you can't get 7 other guys out there. How do you get better at that going from year to year?
I think it's just a natural maturation of what goes on, playing the game, getting the reps. As you know, playing quarterback, you can't put a price tag on the reps. Right. And I think for me, getting as many reps as I have, starting from day 1, has worked wonders for me.
No doubt. You guys were so close last year to sneaking into the playoffs. Just look at yourself personally, and you go through the offseason and you say, if there's one thing Kyler Murray has to do this year to take us that next step, what is that?
I got to do more. I got to be better. And for me, I think limiting the turnovers pretty much, limiting the interceptions, for me starts there because I feel like offensively, man, if we don't stop ourselves, we're pretty tough to beat. Yeah. And I think that shows. I think we led the league in penalties as an offense. You can't do that. That's not winning football. I think we got a lot of areas to get better at, but we've cracked down. We've addressed them, and I think it's on us to show that we've been working.
A lot of big changes around here. You're bringing guys like A.J. Green, J.J. Watt, Rodney Hudson. Just tell me, I know it's early in camp, what have those guys brought to the table up to this point?
I said it the other day. I said, they've been here for a couple days or been here for a couple weeks, but it seems like they've been here for years. Yeah. These guys, they have no egos. They fit in well with the guys. Everybody loves them, and they're very talented. They're very talented. You've got all-pro guys.
No doubt.
And I know everybody likes to talk about how they're old and stuff like that, but, man, this is they've been playing this game for a long time, and they're elite at it. So I'm glad to have them on my team, and I can't wait to get out there and be with them.
Old guys can play too.
Yeah.
So a lot of changes in between the lines. One of the biggest changes coming back into training camp is having the fans back in the stands. Just tell me as a player, what does it give you to have the fans here every single day?
It's what we grew up playing with. You grew up playing in front of fans, and to not have them last year, man, it was tough. It was different. At the end of the day, it was football, but like you said, man, it's football, and we love to have the fans here. They bring the juice to the game. They bring the liveliness to the game. They bring that energy, and they're their home crowd. So
So you got DeAndre, you got AJ. Wouldn't it be nice to have Fitz right in the middle. Just quick, how many times have you hit up Fitz saying, man, it would be nice to have you back at the party for one more year?
Man, Fitz, I let Fitz do Fitz. I let him do his thing. I don't know what he's doing right now, but of course we would love to have him back. Man, he's a legend here, a legend across the league, Hall of Famer for sure. But I don't know what he's thinking.
Got you. Hey, I appreciate you. I'm looking forward to a huge year 3. Have a great season. Back to you guys.
Yes, sir.
Kyler said, "That's none of my business, Kurt. Let the man live." All right, checking in on Cardinals practice. Actually, this was before practice when head coach Cliff Kingsbury spoke to the fans, letting them know how excited. The Giants tweeting, "This is what it's all about." Hashtag Back Together Saturday. And that's where you find us. Back Together Saturday, fueled by Gatorade. I'm MJ Acosta-Ruiz, Sean O'Hara in the house here in Newark, New Jersey. Joined now by Madeline Burke, who is 100% locked in on all things Giants all the time. Madeline, you have been able to watch a little bit more practice than Sean and I have, but what is one of the things that, as you've watched this team go through training camp, has really stood out to you?
Well, I think, this year, one of the big storylines a lot of people have their eye on is the development of Daniel Jones, right? Yeah. He's going into his 3rd season, his 2nd year under this coaching staff, under Jason Garrett's offense, under Joe Judge's coaching staff. And I think a lot of people are expecting this to be the year that he makes that leap. But he feels that pressure, but not in a negative way, and he embraces it. He says, you know what, of course you want that pressure. You want people to challenge you to be great, to be better, and he's really leaned into that. And I think this organization has done a lot of effort to put the tools around him, to put him in a position to succeed. People are drawing that comparison of, look at that jump Josh Allen made from year 2 to year 3. And Daniel Jones and Josh Allen are, of course, different people, but, adding weapons like Kenny Golladay, like John Ross, like the guys that they have added in this offseason has got to help him develop in that space.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see how this offense morphs in year 2 from a tight end perspective too. We saw Evan Ingram, they used him a lot with gadget plays, reverses, and try to get him in space. And I think a lot of that was because they were just looking for who's got the speed, who's got the athleticism. Kadarius Toney, I know he's somebody you and I have talked about a lot. We can't wait to see him and what he can bring to this team. But Madeline, when you look at this offense, the explosive plays, the tight ends, all of that is going to revolve around the run game, right? Mm-hmm. And how big that's going to be an identity of this offense. With Saquon, he provides such a different offense for them, right?
He really does. Yeah, he really does. And I think that's why they're kind of taking their time, making sure he gets back, gets healthy. And that is going to be, you know, the weapons that they've added too is going to take a little bit of pressure off of Saquon, right? I mean, last year we saw they kind of zeroed in on stopping the run game and saying, you know what, if we stop Saquon, we stop this Giants offense. But now they've got Saquon to consider. They've got, you know, Evan Ingram, Kyle Rudolph, who, you know, right now is dealing with that foot injury, but when he gets on the field, he's going to be impactful. Then signing Kenny Golladay, John Ross, another guy too, he spoke earlier today to the media and he said, you know what, I'm aware availability is the best ability, and he has not yet in his career played all 16 games, but that's something that he wants to do. He wants to be prepared to do that, and he's ready to embrace this opportunity with the Giants and reset and kind of live up to those expectations that we saw and that we had when we saw him, you know, wowing all of us at the Combine with those 40-time speeds.
Madeline Burke always giving us those nuanced, very detailed, all the tea that we may not see on a regular basis. All right, Madeline, thanks. We'll check in with you in a bit for more on the Giants, but let's go now to Englewood, Colorado, where we're checking on the Broncos and Teddy Bridgewater. I mean, Sean, this has been, listen, I root for Teddy B. I really want him to get a shot here to show that he is a QB1 caliber quarterback.
Yeah, he's a root for, and any time you hear somebody talk about Teddy Bridgewater, a teammate, a coach, they just rave about him. They rave about him as a leader. How positive he is, certainly with the injury that he went through in Minnesota, his ability to stay positive through all that definitely was something that he drew strength on. You know, this, I think for Denver, it's such a great pickup for them because obviously they want Drew Lock to be the guy. But in the NFL, you're only as good as your second best quarterback. And so many times, you see, you have to win football games with somebody other than your starter. And no matter who ends up being the starter in week one, you know, they've got two good quality quarterbacks. I think for Teddy, he is so, I think he's so trustworthy as a quarterback, and I think for coaches, for offensive coordinators, there isn't anything you can ask him to do that he's going to be concerned about. He's not going to be nervous about it. He's not going to have a meltdown, and I think that provides a lot of confidence. He always takes care of the football, and I think that's a coach's delight. Then you don't feel like, man, we've got to make up for a bad play, and we've got to create some big explosive play because we're not taking care of the football.
You know, this team has a huge chip on its shoulder, right? The players constantly saying, don't discount us, stop overlooking us just because we're in this very tough division. But Teddy Bridgewater, really one of the guys who has an opportunity here to really step up and show out. He caught up with R. James Palmer one-on-one.
Here with Broncos quarterback Teddy Bridgewater, and Teddy, it's an easy question, but it's probably impossible to answer. How do you win the starting quarterback job here in Denver?
You know, honestly, man, I just approach each day with the mindset of trying to get better. How can I help this team become a better football team? How can I maximize each rep that I get? And in the end, you know, a decision will be made, but all I want to do is control the things that I can control, and that's what type of teammate I am, how hard I work, the notes, the way I pay attention in the room, in the meeting rooms, and just how I am around the team.
When you look at who you're throwing the football to, this is a pretty talented group of guys that are around you. Do you have to press to make plays, or can you make sure that maybe in a lot of the sense they can make plays after the catch if you get them the football in the right spot? Is that kind of a thought process?
You know, it goes hand in hand. When you have a room like the one we have at receiver, those guys, man, they're outstanding. A ton of young talent. They're all explosive. They all have unique skill sets. So, you know, as a quarterback, you want to get the ball to them, allow them to make plays, but then sometimes you want to challenge them, you know, to see what kind of guys you have. You know, can I just throw it up to a guy in double coverage and he'll come down with the catch, or can I squeeze it in there across the middle between two linebackers? So, you know, this is the time to continue to learn one another, and, you know, what a better place to be.
Throwing it up there, it sounds like you're describing Cortland Sutton, but I won't put words in your mouth there. There's been 9 different starting quarterbacks from when Peyton Manning retired to now. When you came in and the trade happened, is the thought process I could spend the next 10 years as the quarterback? Do you look at it like that I'd like to stop this revolving door in a franchise that has had such great quarterback play?
Yeah, definitely. You know, that's your mind. You want this to be the final stop. And I don't know about 10 years and all that, but, but as long as you know, I'm able to play this game, and I hope that this be the last stop.
Appreciate it. Good luck.
Thank you.
All right, let's keep it rolling. We'll head now to Philadelphia, check in with Colleen Wolfe and Ian Rappaport.
Thank you, MJ, on this beautiful day here in Philly as the Eagles practice is underway. And Ian, there's obviously a lot of new faces here on this roster, but how quickly do they expect these rookies that they drafted to impact the team?
Yeah, I think it's clear to me, Colleen, spending the day in this Eagles facility, just how head over heels this personnel staff and this coaching staff are with the rookies. Start with Devontae Smith, the high-quality receiver. Remember, they leaped over the New York Giants to take him, and the early reviews are everything they had hoped for and more. Football-wise, they love the way he releases off the line. Just the kind of thing you don't see from a rookie almost ever. I mean, he has that veteran presence I know they really like, and he is a worker. The diligence that he shows just as far as picking up everything, I know that's something they are impressed with. And then, Sean, they got Landon Dickerson, the center/guard from Alabama. Hadn't been on the field yet. He's still coming back from that ACL injury, but it is another high-caliber, high-quality person, also really good football player. I remember one of the Alabama staffers told me he was the best leader they ever had at Alabama. Sean, you got to think that this offensive line is going to be better and really help this offense function as a whole.
Yeah, and certainly they're going to be better, and they hope to be healthier. You know, they were running through right tackles last year at a rapid pace. I think at one point Carson Wentz and Jalen Hurts were introducing themselves to a new tackle in the second half in the huddle. But Landon Dickerson, one of my favorite players coming out of the draft. No doubt he's physical, he's stout. He's also got a great personality. So I think he's going to be a great addition to that group, of course, led by Jason Kelsey. They were so banged up last year. Lane Johnson in and out. Of course, Andre Dillard, their left tackle, tore his ACL early on in the season. So having him come back and be healthy is going to be a huge part of this offense. I think this offense should be much more explosive. Obviously, Zach Ertz is going to be a big part of that, but Devontae Smith, they're hoping, is a huge part of that.
Of course, yeah, Sean. And Ian, when we talk about this offensive line, and sometimes offensive line talk isn't the sexiest, but left tackle honestly is. And I'm wondering who's going to step up and establish themselves as this left tackle, because you do have Dillard and Jordan Mailata.
Well, let's start with Andre Dillard, because obviously a first rounder, and you're right. I mean, in Philadelphia here.
What is the identity? Certainly, they're all hoping Saquon is a big part of that.
Yeah, and we saw Saquon here on the sideline. Obviously, had a towel over his head, had his jersey on, but obviously not participating still on the pup list. But the slow and steady approach here for Saquon in his recovery, it's on purpose. We have to protect Saquon at all costs, especially as you think of him. He's a generational talent at the running back position, and the Giants know what they have in him.
Yeah, no doubt. The talent's there. The explosive ability is really what he brings to the table. And look, let's be honest, last year the Giants' offense was pedestrian. You know, they had to go 10, 11, 12-play drives, and they really struggled in the red zone. So those are the two big areas that they're looking to improve on, the explosive plays, the red zone. We just saw Jason Garrett kind of talking to the quarterbacks, and, you know, year two of an offense, you're at a completely different starting block. Like last year with COVID, with the lack of the offseason and trying to teach a second-year quarterback a new offense, it's tough. And so I know this year Daniel Jones is light years ahead, and Jason Garrett can be a little more aggressive with the things that they install.
Well, the thing is, no more training wheels, right? Not that those exist in the NFL. I don't personally.
Well, they didn't help Daniel
thing.
Jones because he still tripped. But, yeah, they hope that the training wheels are off.
Why you got to do him like that, Sean? Come on, man.
My bad, DJ.
No, but truly, one of the main things that people want to see is him take that phenomenal jump into really being the leader of this offense. All right, we're going to have a lot more on Daniel Jones and all things Giants. We're going to send it over to Colleen Wolfe right now in Philly.
Thank you, MJ. All right, I'm here with Dave Spadaro, Eagles insider. Dave, we go way back.
Yeah, we do. Hi, Colleen.
What, it's been like
Welcome back to Philly.
13 years? It's great to be back, let me tell you.
I had a mullet back then.
Wait, come on. So, Dave, you know this team better than anyone else. You are around them all the time, and you've been around them for years.
Yeah.
How many years?
Since until COVID, I'd been to every game since 1987, since the strike of 87.
Okay.
Dating myself here.
So, this guy knows what he's talking about. Nick Sirianni, you've seen and worked with a lot of different head coaches, a lot of different coaching staffs. Nick Sirianni has been a very different sort of coach than I think the Eagles have been used to in the past. How well is he connecting with this team? Because, you know, a lot of his press conferences are very entertaining.
Yeah, and that's exactly the key word. It's about connection. So we all know about the rock, paper, scissors stuff. That's fun. It's unique. It's out of the box. He really believes that by connecting, you create great chemistry and you create great trust. And when you have adversity, then you can turn to the guy next to you and say, hey, I love you, I know you, I feel that I can trust you, so I'm going to perform very well for you. I feel like Nick has a different kind of energy than coaches who have been here in the past. He's got a lot to learn, first-year head coach, got a good young staff around him. I think there's been a nice connection with a team that is in transition, Colleen. I mean, the NFC East is a wacky division, no repeat winners since 2003, 2004. We will see what Nick wants to do, but the one thing I think that is really important that Nick has stressed over and over, don't come in thinking you can run a system until you know the personnel. So the Eagles have Jalen Hurts with his legs at quarterback. Joe Flacco, if he plays, doesn't have the legs. Little different. So it'll be interesting to see how Nick adapts the offense.
Yeah, that's what I want to know just schematically. Have you picked up anything that you think will be different in terms of last year to this year?
Well, defensively, more pressure, more blitzing, more moving pieces around. You know, the Eagles have gone out and signed Ryan Kerrigan and Eric Wilson and Steven Nelson and Anthony Harris, all one-year deals, all veterans who have to come in here and assimilate very quickly to the defense. And he wants to move those pieces around. Offensively, hey, they want to take advantage of the skills they have. And that includes Devontae Smith, Colleen, who very early on has looked terrific. Everything the Eagles thought and more.
Oh, that's great news for Eagles fans everywhere. And you mentioned Steven Nelson, so the cornerback situation here really changed overnight.
Yeah, much more solid.
Exactly. So a lot changing here in Philadelphia. But for now, MJ, I'm going to send it back to you.
All right, Colleen, thanks. And we're going to keep things rolling, right? Because as we mentioned, we are going all across the league. Let's check in Baltimore,
We're just
Maryland.
going down 95, huh?
Just a little
right
bit.
here from Newark, we went down to
We
Philly.
can jump over right now and go check in with Mike Garafolo, who's at Ravens practice. And Mike, obviously the big thing here, no Lamar Jackson for this day.
Yeah, what's the matter, O'Hara? You went north instead of south. You didn't want to come hang here with me? Left me all by my lonesome, and then you make a joke about it? You're killing me, O'Hara. But listen, yes, Lamar Jackson didn't make it tonight either. He is on the COVID-19 list right now. Still going to be close to a week before he is back to action. But that being said, you're seeing Trace McSorley there. We were looking at practice yesterday, man. He had a fantastic practice. He's played really well and practiced really well for them. They're excited about him and his prospects as a backup. So I would expect tonight he'll have a pretty good practice here, and he will show off the weapons that they have offensively, the Ravens do, with J.K. Dobbins in the backfield, Gus Edwards by the way, the other running back also on the COVID-19 list as of right now. But they're really excited about their wideouts. Sammy Watkins, the way that he's been performing so far, and the way that really he's been healthy so far and feeling good. His body feels good right now. So a lot of folks, when the Ravens signed him, said, oh, Sammy Watkins, he's going to be injured again. And they said, no, we got him with our sports science guys and our conditioning guys and really tailored a program to him, because some of the issues he's had in the past may have been because of conditioning and the program that he's been on. You see him in the background, number 14 there. So they're really excited about Sammy Watkins, as well as Rashad Bateman, the youngster, who could be that outside receiver that they have badly needed the last couple of years. They just love the way that he approaches his job. He is a professional both on the field and off the field, Sean O'Hara. So, you know, who knows? I mean, they want to evolve as an offense. Maybe they will. I mean, look, it's still going to be about the running game. I know that excites you, O'Hara, as an offensive lineman. You love building around the running game, but they have to open up this passing game more, and they think they can with some of these weapons.
Yeah, you know, I'm drooling over here anytime I start talking about the Ravens offense, because running the football is an offensive lineman's dream. And you know, when you have J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards getting downhill, and with Lamar, everything opens up. It makes life easy as an offensive lineman. So I'm with you. I think for Baltimore, that next step is all about the passing game. It's not just Lamar. It's the explosive plays. Mark Andrews has been their big play guy, their tight end, and he's, you know, they added Hollywood Brown, who battled some foot injuries, but Rashad Bateman, Sammy Watkins, no doubt they're hoping that adds some explosive ability on the outside. I will say this, we're watching some video there of the offense working, MJ. Alejandro Villanueva, the left tackle for the Steelers, is now playing right tackle, and Kevin Zeitler is at right guard. So that right side of that offensive line, completely different. But both of those guys, man, they are smash mouth players. Zeitler is about as stout as it gets. So I'm going to be watching those guys early on in preseason to see how they gel.
I have my eyes on that wide receiver group, because there was a big chip on their shoulders last year when folks weren't really giving them a lot of credit because there was so much focus on the run game and on Lamar. And I think they have a lot to prove when they go out this year. All right, we'll check back in on Baltimore in just a little bit. Let's head over all the way west now as we head to Arizona, where we found the rest of our crew. Kurt Warner out there as well, Peter Traeger. And guys, this is, to me, one of the toughest divisions in the league. Hyper competitive, and Kyler Murray really getting into his groove as a leader, stepping up as a QB. We know the type of talent that he has, Sean, but from what you guys have seen so far out there in training camp, the early days now.
MJ, it's great to be here. I'm with Darren Urban, who is the senior writer for the Arizona Cardinals here, and you're on site every single day. To MJ's point, Kyler Murray, year 3, we expect that giant leap. How's he look so far, and what's the vibe here in the building?
You know, I think ultimately, Peter, you know, everybody is expecting a lot of things from Kyler. I think he knows that. But, you know, he was telling us the other day that, you know, since the day he walked in, he's looking for perfection, and he's always going to be striving for that, even if it's not even possible. So I don't think he's addressing that any differently than he has the other years. But ultimately, I think this vibe is there's a hangover a little bit because of how they didn't do well down the stretch, how they missed out on the playoffs. You know, even running back Chase Edmonds said the other day, we folded. And ultimately, I think that's kind of eating at them, and they want to push forward. They got a lot of new guys, J.J. Watt, A.J. Green, those kinds of guys. But the guys who were here, starting with Kyler, I think it's ultimately important for them to make that next step into the postseason, because it really bothers them that they weren't able to do it last year.
Yeah, and I think to your point, you know, Kyler had a very interesting comment yesterday saying, in regards to the Aaron Rodgers stuff, that, yeah, I would like to be consulted. Now, I'd love to have my opinion heard. And Steve Keim and Cliff Kingsbury, they both backed it up and said, yeah, you know, we will be using our quarterback's opinion on some of these signings and get their thoughts. But, gosh, I look at the offseason the Cardinals had. Of course, the big ticket is J.J. Watt or Rodney Hudson or A.J. Green. But I'm watching out there, we're seeing Malcolm Butler, James Conner. Everyone's going to talk about it. Take us to the A.J. Green piece, because fantasy football players are watching. I'm watching. A.J. Green just dominated practice.
Yeah, A.J. Green's looked better than I think anybody thought. Now, it's the first week of practice. They don't have pads on. We'll see where this goes. But I do think that A.J. Green has a chance to do well, especially as a number 2 with DeAndre Hopkins on the other side.
A.J. Green. We don't see Larry Fitzgerald out there. Not at the moment.
We do not.
But we do see A.J. Green. MJ, Arizona Cardinals fans are fired up. They've got a great new roster. Let's see how it goes when the football actually is played.
Yeah, I don't